Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Jam, Episode 4. I am your host, BC3. With me, my co-host, as usual, John E. Dangerously, coming from Florida. Since we got a smaller crowd this evening, let's go ahead and start with the skater introductions. Who is on tonight? We'll start with
Little Richard Brown.
Speed, or Richard.
How are you? Richard Brown, 40 plus years of skating on a bank track.
And go ahead, Queen of Speed.
Queen of Speed, you have Heather the Gun with you tonight, and I'm glad to be here.
Fans, introduce yourselves tonight so that way everybody knows who you are. As you know, this is on YouTube.
Yeah. Anyway, my name is Lauren Miller. I'm born in Savannah, Georgia, living in Jacksonville, big fan of Rollerjam. Favorite team, the Nevada Hot Dice.
What?
Well, we're not gonna hold that against you.
All
right.
Very much, T. Richard.
John Zoni, or if we go by initials, my initials tonight, JZ, originally New Hyde Park, Long Island, New York, now Bristol, Connecticut. And Heather and Richard don't hold this one against me either, but I was a fan of the California Quakes.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm sorry.
From bad to worse.
Tell me, no taste in the house tonight.
It's a tough crowd in here, Heather. Sorry.
It's a
Man.
rough room. Or Zoom, as the case may be.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Hi guys, my name's Jennifer. I live just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and recently started getting into Rollerjam, discovered you awesome people, and I'm glad to be here for our fourth call.
Yeah. Jennifer, come on, you're close to Boston, equals kind of New York enforcers.
Yep.
You know, like, come on.
Yep, enforcers. My husband actually has a hat with the enforcers logo. We're definitely fans.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Heather, you got one repping for you tonight.
All right, that's right. Hey, you know, we got to be in the game somehow.
Go ahead, Rob.
All right, my name is Rob Dunning. Born and raised in Islip, New York, Long Island, still living here to this day. I found Rollerjam one night, literally channel surfing. There it was. It caught my eye, and I watched it from start to finish. Watched it every week. Would go online and onto the chat rooms after that and talk with a similar group of people as you guys. And I liked two teams. I don't know if that's allowed, but I liked two teams.
You can like as many as you want. We're all pretty cool.
One was the Nevada Hot Dice, and number two, of course, was my hometown, New York Enforcers.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh.
Johnny Dangerously, go ahead. Tell us about yourself.
Well, originally, born and raised New York City, straight from the Bronx. Love the Hot Dice because of the generation that they were representing, but I always loved the black and silver. Gotta always look for New York, you know.
Okay. Okay. I see now I'm going off early tonight.
I see a lot of ass kissing going on tonight because we have Heather on. But anyway.
Well, BC3, she could probably answer the urban legend because she was a part of it.
Yes, we'll ask that. We'll ask the question later.
Okay.
It's actually going to be our first question of the night. So anyway, introduce yourselves. BC3, better known as Bill Crane. Born and raised in South Bend, Indiana. My childhood home where I used to watch Rollerjam on Friday nights is literally 1 mile from where I'm sitting right now. I have posted that house numerous times on Facebook for you guys to look at. Grew up going to the local roller rink down the street from me and imitating several of you. Mostly Sean Atkinson, pretending I was taking down Mark D'Amano. Rest in peace to both of them. And when we were having our speed skating competitions, it got thrown us in the penalty box. Mostly we were imitating like Eric Slopey and Heather, and occasionally I have the king complex, which I'm told by my wife every day that I do have a King Henry VIII complex, which I don't know what that really means, but I don't think it means anything good. But anyway, so that's a little bit about me. So we have Richard and Heather on. Who's got the questions? We'll ask John. We're going to save ours for a few minutes.
Okay.
So, anybody got questions?
Well, okay, I'll start. Heather, obviously, it's like you had a speed skating background before rolling, a very accomplished speed skating background. Exactly, it's like in terms of getting into Rollerjam, was it like you were approached by the show producers, or was it something you inquired about? How did you become involved with Rollerjam?
Some of the speed skaters had heard about the show, and we had heard that they were looking for people who could skate and to come to Sanford and try out for the show. So some of us collectively got together and went down, and once we tried out and they saw that we could skate fairly well or pretty good, we told a lot of the other speed skaters about it, went back home and said, hey, you've got to come try this show. So that's how you guys got Shay and Mindy Smith and a lot of the others. Was we just spread the word throughout the speed skating community, Sigmund Moore, and everybody kind of spread the word, and a lot of them came to try out, and I think probably all of them, if not most of them, made it.
Wow, that's actually good knowledge.
Yeah.
Richard is actually you brought up somebody's name in that. Richard, who is the one person you want to see on one of these Zoom calls?
I'd like to see Mindy Smith on there. I mean, I think Mindy was probably one of the most underrated skaters in roller.
Yeah.
But my girl was Gina.
I love Gina. Gina's real close to me, so we've been talking about getting together and going to lunch. And
I don't know if you knew that. They weren't going to take her at first.
Yeah, but what a sad thing that would have been, right? Because she had.
I did, because one of the things that I pride myself in is looking at a skater.
Yeah.
And telling whether or not they'll be able to make it on a bank track.
Yeah.
And I just saw something in her, besides her determination. I just saw something in her, and I told Buddy, when we used to sit down each night and talk about the skaters, who you think would make it, who you want, and it was just said that let's pass on her. I said, you'll be making a big mistake.
Yeah, they would have. She brought a lot of character to the show.
Yeah, I said, let me work with her and then make a decision. So they said, okay. And she made it. And I mean, she was determined that she was going to do it. And I think she was she was very helpful and inspirational on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too.
Heather, I have two questions. Well, actually, I have the same question that I want to pose to Heather and King Richard. Heather, I want to start with you. I want to know which skater or skaters do you despise the most? The Bod Squad, the Showgirls, or Denise Loaded and Debbie Rice?
Despise? You think despise?
Despise. Who do you hate the most?
Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Right?
That's yours, Heather.
That I dislike?
Who did you have bad blood with on Rollerjam?
Just on the show?
On the show, yes.
Okay, just on the show. I was about to say, in real life, none of us have bad blood, but probably just on the show, I think it was the most fun to make fun of the Bod Squad. I just think it was the most fun. I don't know why. It just was easy there was three of us that kind of matched up equally to three of them. So it was easy to screw with one another, I guess, which made it, Debbie and Oh my gosh. I'm having a
Denise?
brain. Yes, Denise. There was just two of them, but it was easier for 3-on-3 to kind of them make fun of us make fun of them, and it just kind of goes, that little rivalry kind of made something to talk about.
So basically, you got into you got into the Bob Squad's head psychologically. It was you, Karen Magnuson, and Shelly Roselle.
Right.
All three of you did the quake shape better. It was funny though.
Yes, that was one of my favorite episodes because we hid from them for a very long time. They couldn't find us and they were looking for us. And we were hiding underneath the stage so they didn't see what we did.
And King Richard, same question. Who did you have bad blood with on which skaters did you have bad blood with on the show?
I didn't have bad blood with any of them because remember, I taught them all they knew, not all I knew. But the one that I most enjoyed skating with, and he always kept me on my toes, was Sean Atkinson. And the reason why I say that is because I remember, when we were skating in roller derby, I remember Sean Atkinson was a little kid running around in the dressing room, getting on everybody's nerves. And then to be able to skate against him, and working with his dad, that was just something that I always cherished and remembered because he was crazy. Sean would do just about anything to sell that game, to bring that game out. He would do.
He did an excellent job of that.
It really was enjoyable skating with him because of the fact that I grew up with him from when he was a little kid. We skated against each other in roller derby, roller games, and then Rollerjam. And to do all of that, it was just, he was one of the ones that I really enjoyed skating against.
I've kind of heard that as like a general consensus that everybody has nothing bad to say about Sean or Buddy or any of them.
Well, I mean, I could find some bad stuff to talk about if that's what you just want to hear. But like I said, I know there's underlying stuff that, since I grew up with Sean, like I said, when he was a kid, he was probably about 8 years old, 7 years old, running around in the infield, kicking people, biting people and stuff like that in the dressing rooms. But to watch him develop and skate over the years, and then to actually compete with him and against him, it made it something special for me.
I was supposed to say that had to be pretty special.
And then, of course, when I came down there, I wasn't supposed to skate. I was supposed to just come down there to train. But after I got on the track and started working with them, when these kids learned their craft, it just became so enjoyable skating with them. So they asked me if I would want to do it, and I told them yes, because it was really something watching each one of those skaters grow up. When I say grow up, I just mean just learning the craft, learning their trade. They had to do screen time, we had to do interview time, we had to do skating time, and they worked other jobs while they were doing that, know, and they still learned that craft. It hurt me when Rollerjam ended because they had enough talent to actually start a real league and compete with each other, competing league. They had the talent, they had the money, they had the people available.
Yeah.
But they just chose not to do that. And it saddens me because I think that the group of Rollerjam skaters just lost out on an opportunity because the company, all they wanted to do was make a get their 100 games in so they could syndicate the show. That's all they were really interested. So the skaters themselves lost out because they put in a lot of effort.
Yeah, a lot of efforts.
Lot of effort, a lot of time
Yeah.
To do something that they actually fell in love with. Before, when they first came out there, they just came out to do it.
Yeah.
But they actually fell in love with it, and they did whatever they could to enhance their craft so that they could be the best at what they were doing. And then to just have it pulled out from under them, they just lost so much, you know.
Yeah.
I know I, for one, as like a fan, I was so like mesmerized with the show that when I was 14, 15, 16, when the show was on the air, I was already planning after my junior year of high school to come down to Florida and try out for the show myself in between seasons because I loved it so much. And
Yeah.
then, right in the middle of my, it was, I know a couple other people did the same. I think Rob, you were one of them too that was thinking about it.
Yeah, I at least wanted to go down after my senior year of high school, which was in 2001. But unfortunately, by the time I graduated, it was already over.
Over, yeah.
Yeah. So Richard,
Yes.
I have a question for you. What did you think about when all the speed skaters started showing up? I think I was the first one.
Well, for me, it was strange because, of course, we never had skated in inlines.
Yeah.
On a bank track, and I don't know if you remember when I first went to inlines.
Yes.
It was really difficult. I only did it because it was so difficult to keep up with you guys when you started learning how to skate that track, how to pass on the track, how to skate that track, maneuver on the track. It just became so difficult to keep up with you guys. So I went to Buddy and I said, "Hey, Buddy, I need these quads. These quads ain't doing it. You know, I'm not used to just looking bad out there. And these guys are starting to make me look bad." So it is different. Made those. You remember those first the 3-wheelers that I had? He made that specifically for me so that I could still do the maneuvering that I like to do.
Yeah.
But when I and I used to go down at night when you guys had finished the stuff and practice on those wheels. And I remember the first time I came out of them, you guys were rolling on the floor laughing at me when I first did it. I said, "Okay, just wait and see." And then we got to pacing in there, and we just started pacing. You guys said, "Oh wow, look at that!"
Yeah.
You know. So then I went to the 4 short.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was able to still do the maneuvering, but it gave me that speed to be able to catch you because I was 51 years old at that time.
Take it.
Yeah, almost 51 years old. And that all them 25, 24, 23-year-old kids, they were starting to run circles around me. I thought, "Oh no, this ain't gonna happen. Buddy, you gotta help me here." So that's how I got into those inline skates.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed skating with the guys and the girls and training with them. Every one of them put out that effort to what everybody asked us or me and Buddy asked them to do. You guys did it. You know, you didn't hear all the grumbling and crying, and you guys just did what you needed to do.
It was fun.
And I really, that was an exciting time for me. My only regret, like I said, is that they did not care enough about the group to continue it when they could have, you know.
Yeah.
We had the talent. They had enough for 8, 10 teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, if they had kept a training school open and brought in an additional talents, you know, you guys would have been teaching those new people coming in.
Absolutely.
You know, so I just feel that you guys lost out on a golden opportunity. I started my very first game in 1964. That's when I skated my first professional game.
Yeah.
And I trained for 3 years prior to that because you had to be 16 in order to skate professionally. And so I started when I was 13, so I trained for those 3 years with all of the pro skaters. So when I got into pro skating, I was already at an advantage because I had worked with all of them. But I went through several different leagues and getting into Rollerjam, and I was probably one of the only skaters that skated in the original roller derby, the original roller games, and Rollerjam. And to see the skaters lose that golden opportunity,
Yeah,
like they did, was the most heartening thing for me.
yeah, I understand.
Next.
Okay, so Reese actually is on the call, but he's muted. He has
Okay,
a question for you, Heather.
okay. Hi, Reese.
All right, there we go. All right, finally just unmuted myself. Heather, my question was, out of the 4 ladies of season 1, between Debbie, Amy Craig, Laura Heiser, and Mindy Smith, which one pushed you the hardest?
Amy Craig, Debbie Rice. Probably Amy Craig or Debbie Rice. I mean, it depends on the track and what we were on or what product we had, because we all speed skated for different companies. So all of our wheels were different as far as grip or speed. So some of us would choose to go with a more grippy wheel, but it would go a little bit slower. I think we just had fun and we tried to maintain a speed that we were both comfortable at to make it look good for the fans and for the people watching at home. So we didn't really try to make the other person look bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That made perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, now speed skating question as a fan.
Yeah.
If you guys did you guys ever, the speed queens, ever get on the track and say, hey, we're going to have a legitimate, like, 10 lap or 20 lap race?
Well, we did all the time. When we had speed skating meets, we would race against each other. So
did you guys ever do it on the bank track in training just for fun to entertain everybody, or?
No, it was never for fun. It was for either the U.S. trials or they had a special meet every year in January that was on the bank track. But no, it was never for fun. It was for sponsorship. It was for money. So, the more races you won, the more collective you put in your pot.
Well,
so
I was saying like Rollerjam training when you guys were training.
Oh,
when we were training, we had actual time trials, and we also actually pit skaters against skaters.
Correct.
In speed on the track, and just looking at them, what I would do is I would look at each individual as they skated against one of the others. And that was one of the ways we determined who would skate against who on a particular jam, because what we were asking them to do versus what they're able to do, we needed them to be able to compete with each other, and still do what the outcome was going to be. So looking at something like that, I would say that like Heather and Debbie Rice were a good combination for what we were looking for in the skating abilities, because they each had their separate takes into it, but they had that ability to work within each other.
Yeah, we complemented each other.
Yeah, where I don't think that, and this is not a put down, believe me, it's not a put down, but I don't think that Heather worked as well with, senior center moment, Lindsay Francis. I don't think
It's just
I don't think they worked together as well because they were just two different styles of individuals in skating.
correct.
So
Correct.
I just enjoyed watching like Heather go against like Debbie Rice or someone like, I like to watch you two skate against Jen Matthews and you. I like to
Right.
watch you two skating against each other because you had that awareness on the track for each other, but you had that ability to outdo the other one if you knew that was the time to do it, you know.
Correct. Yes.
It made it easier for us to do give you the product, give the audience the products that we wanted by knowing who to pit against each other. And, you know, to put me against Mark D'Amato in a speed contest was silly because Mark D'Amato on his quads, he could not stay up with me on those when I got into those inlines, but we worked our stuff in a different way of roughness, where we weren't looking for speed. So it depends on the individual, and I think that with the abilities, what they developed out there, they brought. Here's one thing I need to tell you guys, like especially Heather. One of the hardest things to do is to take a flat track skater and put them on a bank track, because on a flat track you skate entirely different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's harder to train somebody to become a bank track skater. It's easier to train somebody that's on a bank track and put them on a flat track, because you take your bank track training onto the flat track, but it's hard to bring the flat track to the bank track. Fortunately enough for Rollerjam, we were able to do that with the group that we had.
Yeah.
They had that talent, that natural ability to be able to, okay, I can't do this like I would normally do on a flat track. I can't do this on the bank track, and they had that awareness to make that adjustment. And I just think that you guys did such a. It's funny because the other thing that I just absolutely blew my mind about was the hockey skaters.
Yeah.
That adapted to that bank track. I told a couple of them, you need to go find you some other skates. You are not going to be able to, you know it. But they worked and they were able to adapt themselves. So that was one of the things that I liked most about the group that we worked with. They were able to adapt what they did and bring it into something new and not look bad at it. So I think Heather would really understand what I'm saying, because she skated both of them and she knew what she had to do, what you could not do on a bank track that you probably could have done in a speed contest on a flat track, you know. So if that made any sense.
It does.
As a fan, the one-on-one match race that I actually wanted to see that we never got a chance to see, really, except for the first Demolition Derby, was you, Heather, and Amy Craig. I would love to see a legitimate 10-lap race, you know, without shoving or pushing or any of that stuff. Just see who, you know, something like that, you know, how quick you guys both were. And I know, Heather, you're kind of itching to say something about this, but let's go and hear it.
Just to put your mind at ease, I would have won. It's okay.
You go, girl.
I was gonna say, I kind of thought it was more smoke and mirrors with Amy's speed than anything.
No, she was very fast. She was very fast. I just, you know, it's not me if I don't say I was the fastest, right?
Well, I mean,
I liked watching Amy skate, and not because of her speed. The way she adapted to whatever jam she was on, she was one of those skaters that could adapt to any other skater.
Yeah.
And so that's why I enjoyed watching her skate.
Yeah.
Speed never really meant much to me, only because I know that a skater can make themselves look fast and don't really be fast. And in roller derby, it was up to the other person who was faster to know how to slow themselves down without looking like they're slowing themselves down, in order to relay that to the fans, the speed to the fans. And we did that by how we skated the track. When I could not keep up with an individual, I skated lower on the track
Yes.
because I had less distance to go. I let them skate the way that they're supposed to, and then I would skate lower on the track. Whereas when I was with someone that had speed, or the same as me, or a bit greater than me, then I could skate the regular way we skated a track.
Yeah.
So fortunately enough for us, the skaters in Rollerjam were able to adapt themselves to each individual skater they were going against, to where they never looked bad per se or good per se. They looked professional. And that's the one thing that I enjoyed about skating with you guys.
Yeah.
Really good. So there is a question that was in the chat. Jennifer, who has her baby with her, she actually has one from her husband.
Okay.
Wanted to ask you, Heather,
Okay.
what did you do to rehab your knee injury, or was it a foot injury, or what was it exactly you had that put you out of action for a while?
I actually was just doing kind of like a light skate. It was the week before the Pan American Championships. And at that time, I was ranked #1 in the world. And we were in San Diego doing kind of like a demonstration, but it was an indoor conference for the speed skating company that I skated for. And we were getting ready to go just real slow. We had stopped at the stop sign, and then we had actually, I take that back, we didn't have a stop sign, but the turn lane did. And just the young man driving the SUV had turned in front of us, and we weren't going that fast, maybe 16 to 18 miles per hour. And once he saw us, he sped on the gas to hopefully not hit us. And the person in front of me hit the car, and then I had T-boned the sports utility straight on and fractured my jaw, bruised a lot of my organs, and then shattered my leg. So I spent a week in the hospital there, and then the injury didn't heal itself, so I had to go back in. They re-broke my leg and put titanium screws and rods in.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do to
So
actually rehab
you
that?
still got them rods in your?
I do. They're titanium, so they can stay forever.
Yeah, so you're worth a lot of money.
Only if they can get to them.
What did you do to rehab that leg, like to get you back where you could skate and cycle and all that stuff?
I did a lot of physical therapy, and I just didn't give up, like a lot of physical therapy. And I would ride with one leg and my cast leg propped up on the couch, and I'd still do upper body stuff. And then when it was time and the cast came off, the other leg was very, very small. And I just had to get the strength back in it. And I actually skated my first race, but it's still 85% broken, but it had rod and screws in it. So I just duct taped it, and I won one of the races and got third in the other race. So my teammate won that race.
Good Lord.
Not the best thing, not the best decision I've ever made, but you know, when you have that drive.
I know the feeling. I'm back on the shelf bowling-wise because I started bowling a little too quickly.
Yeah.
Post-surgery, I actually got 2 weeks of league in this summer, and I'm averaging 211 in the league. It's a it's a PBA pattern league, so I'm basically bowling on what the tour bowl's on. And I went into the doctor, and the doctor said, "Nope, you can't bowl for another few weeks." So I know the feeling about getting back in the saddle too quick. So
yeah, so I just had to wait for the atrophy to get better and just work a lot of PT, and I had a lot of sports doctors working with me, and so it was good.
We'll have to compare stories.
Yeah, Heather.
Yes, sir.
I kind of have to ask this one, and no, everybody, I did not dress orange specifically for this question, but had you been cleared in time, I had to wonder if you were in the All-Star game,
Okay.
which team do you think you would have been on?
What
She
teams were
sure
there?
wouldn't have been on ours.
What teams were there, Richard?
Mark the Bottle Captain
It was
won.
the East. It was East versus the West, wasn't it?
No,
No,
it
it
was
was
Actively versus D'Amato.
it was Company D
It was
against the
Oh,
Company
that's
D.
right. Yeah.
Company D.
She would have been on D'Amato's because she
Yeah,
didn't
I would
have,
have been on D'Amato's
she
team.
didn't have the temperament to be on a good team like ours.
Yeah. We just, you know.
Hey,
we had-
Heather, speaking of
yeah.
D'Amato. Speaking of Mark D'Amato,
That's right. That's my boy.
Oh, give me a break.
Yeah, because you know what? Then I thought about it because for some reason, although I could see Heather skating with Richard, that could make sense, but I couldn't see her skating with Sean at the same time. So it was like, so that's why I kind of had to ask that question because I was like, yeah, I also couldn't see her skate against D'Amato and Tim because that's like that's her guys.
So I have a question for Heather.
Okay.
What do you think was the worst thing that they did in Rollerjam?
I think I need the charger, sorry. I had to ask my daughter for the charger. I think in the beginning when they were so closed-minded, when I brought the idea to, hey, why don't we, instead of making it the traditional roller jam, why don't we have this person coming from here and this person jumping from here? And they're like, no, it's just the traditional roller jam. And I think if they would have let us have a little bit more creativity and a little bit more, and not gone crazy, you know what I mean? But maybe got a little bit more input to what might have brought a little bit more to the TV show. I think that could have maybe helped out, you know, or been a positive for the show. I love some of the storylines. I think we could have gotten better results with a little bit different storylines. So I think maybe if we would have been given the decision to be trusted a little bit more with what we thought would work as a collective group.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree a lot with what you said. Just so you know, where I think the worst thing that they did was more storylines. They took the skating abilities away from the skaters.
Yeah.
And I think that hurt them more than anything else because we started out doing 6 jams a period.
Right.
And then we wound up doing 4 jams and 3 jams a period so they can accommodate their storylines.
Right.
So the skaters did not have a chance to show what they could do skating wise.
Right. Well, at some point we stopped kind of playing the game.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that hurt them more than anything else because a lot of the fans, and I just remembered listening back to fans who told me that I wish they had not have done so much storylines. I wish they would have let us see what they could do on a bank track.
Right.
Skating.
And kept it a little bit more. The storylines were good.
Yes.
But a little bit more roller jam.
Had more emphasis on the skating abilities of the skaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I was just wondering how you felt on that.
Yeah, same way.
And that was kind of as a fan, and I'll speak up, you know, as a fan myself. When I started watching the show from the first episode, I
Mhm.
enjoyed the skating more than anything over the storylines and all that stuff. And I thought at
Right.
first the storylines and the skating blended well. And then as the seasons went on, it became more apparent they were leaning towards storylines and
Yeah.
gimmicks and stuff like that, especially Heather wearing all leather on the show and going by Leather Gunnin.
Right.
Yeah. I know where you guys are coming from on that. And for me, I was always a fan of the game.
Yeah.
And when I look at skaters, I look at their individual talent, not what the bosses want me to see. A lot of skaters who were quote unquote stars were only quote unquote stars because other skaters made them look good.
Yeah.
So I rather look at individuals and see what they can do skating with what they're asked to do.
Yeah.
So that's how I determine whether or not a skater is a great skater, good skater, or just a mediocre skater. It's that inner ability that they have is what I really look at. I didn't look at it as from a fan aspect as well of what the company wanted us to see. Give you an example is, let's take a Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't a star because other basketball players made him look good. Michael Jordan was a star because of his natural ability to do what he was able to do.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's the same thing as with skaters. Heather wasn't a good skater on the bank track of Rollerjam because people made her look good. She honed her craft and made herself become good. So that's where what I look at when I watch other skaters. When I like when I be sitting on the infield, I be watching certain skaters, and there's certain skaters that I just say, man, they're just wasting that person's talent because they're not using that individual like they should be using them. They only looking at it from their storylines, you know. So it's for me, it's not whether or not somebody thinks you're a star. It's whether or not you are able to make yourself a star, whether you're being showcased or you're in the middle of the pack. I can watch people that are in the pack that are not being showcased and watch and say, oh my God, look at that. You know, the things that they would do to help other people, to me, made me look more at them than the ones that were chosen to be star, quote unquote star.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you know, growing up, like watching the show as a kid, I admired the skating, like the pure skating ability of the skaters.
Yes.
I loved watching the speed skaters take to the track and just go to town on that track because it was entertaining to me. I'm all about, you know, I was all about speed. So one of my first memories of the show was, you know, watching the very first episode I watched was 2 hours long of watching Heather on the women's side just run circles around everybody. It was just, I think it was entertaining for all of us, you know, young fans. I was 14 at the time, you know, and I loved watching Heather run circles because I knew who she was because of the speed skating. I, you know, had followed the speed skating stuff, you know, right about the time that Rollerjam came on. So I knew who you were before the show, but then when you were on the show, it's like, good Lord, is she good?
Thank you.
Okay, can I put you on the spot, Heather?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Who do you think, excluding me, had the most raw talent on the track?
as far as acting, skating,
No.
ability,
Yeah, all in all, the whole pack, the total package.
uh,
And I'll make it kind of easier for you, male and female.
there was quite a, I to pick one would be to do a disservice because I love to watch you, but my heart belonged to D'Amato, but Sean brought something to the table. The speed skaters brought something to the table with their stunts.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I'm not going to be as lenient as you. I will name names.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like say one name would be such a disservice because
I'm going to name names, and then you tell me
Tim
whether
Washington, who
I'm
just
going to name a name, and then you tell me whether or not you think I'm really doing them a disservice. Okay.
okay, and then girls.
As a girl and a guy, the girl who I thought pound for pound, total package, Mindy Smith.
Really?
Yes. That she had to, I'm looking at it from a trainer point of view, looking at a skater. Mindy Smith had talent I don't even think she really knew she had as far as bank track skating.
I think so too, but I think if you put it in character wise, I think if you put it in skating wise.
Well, I can name you that. I can do that in there, and then telling you and I can, and in that case, I will tell you someone else, Debbie Rice. I think Debbie Rice.
I would say Denise Loden.
Denise Loden was a total package, but you have to remember Denise Loden grew up in a roller derby family.
Yeah, so it was a little bit easier for her. I think Tim Miller.
Here's the guy's name who I think even better than me. Jason McDaniels.
He did. He was very
Jason
good.
McDaniels, he didn't know the talent he had, and I didn't know the talent he had.
He was definitely good. Yes.
Yeah, Jason McDaniels. I watched him skate several times, and I was at it all. For me to sit there and just enjoy watching another skater is hard, because that's because I think it's because I put too much demand in them to impress me, because everybody can't impress me. But just to really, if I had to sit and watch anyone skate, Jason McDaniels, I could sit there and watch him all night long.
Yeah, I just love to see somebody happy and good in their craft.
Yeah, he really did not really know the talent he had for a bank track. And that's mainly because he wasn't able to do that because the company kept us in such tight reins. That's when you and I were talking about what they didn't do or should have done, if they had to let the skaters be like skaters instead of making them characters. I think if they had have let them be skaters with the character, they would have done a better job and would have gotten more out of them than making them a character that could skate. But Jason McDaniels, I could just sit and watch him all day and all night. I would enjoy watching him skate.
I would agree with you.
Speaking of Jason, he passes on his regards to everybody that's on tonight. He's so he will not be on. I talked to him for about an hour a couple weeks ago after last week after my foot surgery that evening. So him and I had a good little chat. So he passed on his regards. Also, Broadway wanted to pass on his regards. I was hoping to on tonight because I wanted to see Richard insult Broadway in front of all of us.
But Heather, I understand where you're coming from. When you got such a large group of talented people, it's hard to really say, well, this one wasn't as good as that one, because they all were good in their own crafts. But
Right.
I think because of the fact that I was a trainer for so long, I grew up in roller derby. I've skated with the best of the best in roller derby. I learned to look at skaters in a different light than what they really are being shown on TV.
Yeah.
You know, and I just, pound for pound, Jason McDaniels was probably one of the best banked track skaters. I don't know much about him in his flat track years, you know.
Right.
But on a bank track, pound for pound, I would put him up against anyone that I've ever skated against or with.
Like as far as
Skating ability.
like,
Yeah, just skating ability.
well, I hold the fastest time on that bank track.
I held the fastest time for many years.
Well, I know, but when we got started on a new series,
Oh, I know when you, yeah,
I hold the fastest time on that track out of men and women.
yes.
What was the time?
Remember that.
Buddy was the stopwatch king. I want to say 23 seconds, 22. It was something fast, but I was the fastest lap. It was a 3-lap time.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
3-lap time, 23 seconds.
It was something, because you just stay low. You
Right.
grip it, stay low. Kind
Ran
of
the track.
mid-high.
Yeah. He just ran the track. Yeah.
Just ran the track. Didn't try to go high, didn't go low, just right grip.
Good Lord.
So,
I know I couldn't keep up with that speed. You'd have to tie me with an hourglass.
And it's so funny because that was Amy Craig's complete gimmick towards the end of the series of how fast he was.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, Reese is doing the countdown.
Like from that one game where it's like, I forgot what against it was. Denise grabs the mic and say, you know, hey, other team, we're going to give you a head start, and Amy's still going to catch you in this jam. It was when
I remember that.
skating
Yeah.
for you.
We also
with
did
the
it at the
Riot
Derby
Richard,
as well.
It was when you had the oral authority trio: Denise, Amy, and Laura.
That was the last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot who the opponent was, but I remember watching the game on YouTube, and it was like
It was
the
the
last
dice.
jam of the.
It was the dice. It was the dice. Because,
You're right, John. And it's like because I remember it's like yeah, and Amy, everybody else starts, and then Amy goes through. You know, as Reese was doing 3, 2, 1, and I think she did get like 4 or 5 points on the jam, if I remember correctly.
Newsflash, I have a feeling if that was going on, I think Heather would have actually pulled that storyline off a lot better than Amy. No offense to Amy, I love Amy.
No.
Heather, legitimately, we were talking about it before you got on, she's won Downers Grove in Chicago. And that's one of the toughest race courses around for speed skating, cycling, and whatever.
Yeah.
Heather has legitimate speed without a doubt. I think between her and Debbie Rice, I think Heather would have been the better person to pull that storyline off.
Okay, guys, I gotta go. I definitely have to go. I gotta pack my bags before I hit the sack there. I gotta get up early in the morning for this trip. So it has been a pleasure talking with you guys, and hope to see you guys again. Heather, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Have a blessed trip.
Yeah, safe one, I hope. I hope I don't run into any bad weather going up there.
No, I hope not either.
Hope not.
You guys have a nice one. Good night to everybody. I love you
I got to
guys.
spend my birthday
All
with
right,
the
thank you,
king.
Richard. Have a good night and safe travels.
Live the king.
Take care.
Good night.
Live the king.
I think when Heather, when you went from leather, I think that's when they started to drop the whole, oh, she's fast. If you guys ever noticed that from season 1 and 2, when she was Heather, they constantly mentioned her speed. The minute she went to leather, and then Amy Craig left to the Riots, That's
Yeah.
when they got it.
Yeah, it was a different scenario. It was a different kind of feel that I brought to the track, you know, a different personality. So I still had speed, but more of a roughness. So the speed wasn't necessarily the focus anymore.
Mm.
And hey, remember one time I think you were handcuffing Amy at one point.
What?
No,
I'm sorry.
it was the bench. It was
Or
the
to
bench.
the
It was the bench.
What?
Or whatever. I think you
no,
had
because
Amy to the bench, or your love
with
slave
the
did.
penalty box or something. I forgot where you were, but you guys you and Hellcat took her off the track, and you handcuffed Amy to.
Oh, the
I think
bench.
it was like the
The fence? Probably.
And then King kept shouting, "Call a locksmith."
Okay, let's just get it out there. Who is the love slave once again, everybody?
Weber.
You know what? It was many
Bill
of them.
Barker.
Barker.
It was Bill Barker.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I'll be the one to ask this. Heather, what was your initial reaction when they said, "Hey, we want to put you with this love slave and all this"? What was your initial like? What?
Well, I guess it's not my forte. So, but it was all part of the plot because I was pregnant at that time.
Mm.
So, it was kind of the storyline to write me off. The producers had already known I was pregnant, so I was going to go until my second trimester on the show. So the love slave was actually supposed to be the captain of the Sun Dogs.
Barker.
Write me off like it was his baby, but then was it Mark D'Amato's baby, and whose baby was it? But no, it was not Bill underneath the love slave outfit.
It was Kenneth
Not
Lowe's
until-
baby.
Kenneth Lowe's child.
So it was all kind of like a twist thing, like whose baby is she having? So
I'm sure that was kind of uncomfortable for you.
it didn't bother me. It was the show. The producers were always great to me, and the cast we had fun with it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, it was, no, it wasn't Bill.
Okay, Johnny, are you ready for the question that we have been trying to answer for the last, 9 months?
Yep.
What
Okay.
question?
So, all right.
Here we go. So, Heather, your very first episode, you had a major storyline
Yes,
with, who was it?
Debbie Rice.
Nope. Nope.
Incorrect. I think everybody here knows the answer. Does everybody know?
Well,
the
actually, it's like I know what she's referring, because it's like in the pregame, it's like with Ken Resnick and Hawk, they were trailing up the rivalry with Heather and Debbie, but then of course, but Bill and John are referring to as then there was the later storyline with the injured Megan Mobley of the Sun Dogs. So there are actually two storylines going on with Heather and that kid.
You
Yeah,
pulled
because-
crutches from her. You took her crutches.
Megan Mobley, as in Nurse Ophelia.
Hold on here. We haven't got to that part yet.
Jump the gun.
So
No pun
I'm
intended.
not trying to jump the gun, though.
So we all remember that famous moment that you ripped the crutches out of Megan Mobley's possession.
Okay.
And we all still, to this day, it's still talked about amongst us fans privately and I think sometimes publicly as well.
What was wrong with that?
Nothing at all. We actually thought it was funny.
Okay.
Was that okay? So,
Funny. What was funny was it was a one and done deal.
yeah.
Correct.
Before there was Wayne Brady choking, there was Heather Gunnin with the crutch.
Oh my
Any
God.
Chappelle fans?
So
Any
okay.
Chappelle
So,
fans?
she
I
was-
got the reference.
Now the urban legend is that she became Nurse Ophelia for the Quakes manager. Now, is it true, or are they two different skaters or two different people?
That's a good question.
This is for Heather because she was involved in this.
I would have to go back and watch, to be honest with you.
Because if you look at her and then you look at Nurse Ophelia, they look the same. They look identical, unless there's identical twins.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, honestly.
She was in that one, literally that one episode. That one episode, you tripped her up. The episode finished. Never talked about again.
Yeah, she disappeared completely.
Never. Not even a highlight. Not even a
Mhm.
highlight about.
Yeah.
Oh,
It did become I'd have to look at it, to be honest with you. So I'll have to come join the next Zoom and see and tell you what it is, because I don't know. I'd have to watch it.
Yeah.
we've asked everybody that has come on. We've asked Jamie. We've even people who were on the Quakes that were with Nurse Ophelia. Is it her?
We asked Broadway and he doesn't even know.
It is one of the most urban legends of Rollerjam, and we've made it legendary because
Probably the urban legend.
It
Yeah,
is the
because-
urban legend.
Urban legend.
Heather Gunnin basically retired Megan Mobley, and she showed up a season later as Nurse Ophelia.
I will look. I promise.
That was, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, sorry, Bill.
Pulling the crutches out was one of the most heelish things I've ever seen on television. Even watching other staged entertainment
Yeah.
on
Well,
TV.
sometimes it wasn't staged.
Say what?
Sometimes it wasn't staged.
Was that okay? So then let's ask this. Since we have you on here, let's put you on the spot. Was that a planned thing, or was it just something spontaneous, like spur of the moment? You're like, oh, I'm gonna be a royal witch and go pull out her crutch and get the crowd riled up.
You know what? When I watch it, I will let you know.
Okay.
'Cause I'll be
But,
honest, you know?
but hold on, but let's segue into this, because then there was a little turnabout in the Vegas episodes when I think Debbie did the same thing to you.
Play.
And
He tried to.
yeah.
But at least with the Debbie Rice rivalry, this is the kicker part. With the Debbie, they kept following up on that. The Megan Mobley, it was one and done. It was literally, and she was never talked about again.
She had
Never.
to be ended.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think like the only mention that they ever had of her
hats came
since
out
then
for that
was actually when Debbie tried to snatch Heather's crutch. That was about the only time they've mentioned her since then.
Yeah.
I even forgot about that when they were in Vegas and Debbie tried to do that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So Heather, here's a quick question. Were you
Okay.
always scheduled to be on the Enforcers, or did they bring up any other team of a possibility?
Originally set to be on the Sun Dogs.
Oh,
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Then they switched me over to the Enforcers, and I actually was a little nervous. I was a little scared to play a mean girl, but my dad said, have fun with it, you know, so I did.
So some of it was indeed acting. You playing a mean girl.
Yeah, absolutely. The stuff on the show, like, if it really looked real, it was real, you know? And then, because tempers flare, you know, somebody knocks you over the head with a chair and you're not quite ready for it, you're going to get pissed off. So, you know, you see another skater coming across the track, you know, and you see a pile up, it's real.
Yeah.
But we got
Yeah.
to right?
So we have I have to segue into something that has been brought up in previous get-togethers. The famous back and forth concussion storyline with you and Jamie Conomack.
But I swear on a stack of Bibles, I did not know I did that to her. And she came over to the apartment the next day, and I was like, good googly moogly, like, what happened to your eye? And she's like, you. And I'm like, what do you mean, me? And she's like, that's what you did to me when you knocked me down. I genuinely had no idea. Then when she did it to me, as I slid down the floor, like I saw stars, like it almost knocked me out. And I did lose my stuff. I did lose my cool. And that's, I got in a little bit of trouble for that.
Well, I mean, as anybody would, that's something we were all curious about too, because it was like right at the very beginning, it seemed like you were on like numerous storylines.
Yeah.
With people, and like you were being billed like to be one of the big stars of the show, not just because your skating ability, but because your bad girl image that Debbie alluded to on the pre-show, that you guys used to be best friends, and then you got a little too wild for her, and then she kicked you out of her apartment. Obviously most of it was probably fabricated.
Oh no, it was all true.
Oh, it was.
It was. It was. It was.
So that was actually not a stretch. That's
art imitating life.
That
we
is.
We are very good now, but oh no, I was growing up. I was young, and you run your mouth when you're young. You don't think when you're young, and oh yeah, so.
Did the two of you actually start fighting, like you said on the show?
Oh yeah. It was at U.S. Trials in the hallway of the hotel.
Oh my God.
Me and BC, we wanted to do a special episode of, like, I call it rivalries, and have maybe you and Jamie come on to so we can just discuss that whole concussion story.
I swear, like when she came over and she had that big black eye, I had no idea. Like I was taken back. And I understandably, she took it very personal. I just had no idea. And I was just walking around like nothing happened, I was oblivious to it all. Had no idea that I had inflicted that on her. So I could see how she would be a little upset at that, but I just genuinely didn't know that I did it. So.
Wow.
But then in turn, she was the one that gave you a receipt.
Yeah, she pushed me from behind, which pushed me face first into the upright.
Oh. Yeah, I think I remember.
And it's funny how they were promoting it. Oh, they had the scorecard, and they actually, in one game, and they were promoting it. Oh, she gave her a concussion, then she gave her a concussion. I'm like, y'all can't get away with that now.
No.
Yeah, I had a bruise on my thigh, and I thought I broke my jaw. And I had a bruise on my thigh, like that took up my entire thigh for like a month. It was humongous, like the biggest hematoma ever. So yeah, I woke up from that and I was pissed.
As you can all imagine.
Yeah.
That's like, as a fan, like for me, it's been, we're 20 years post production of the show. So, like for me now to ask these kind of questions, it doesn't seem so awkward to know what was fabricated, what was reality, how they mix art and life together on the show. And, to hear the concussion angle and how that came about.
Yeah, it genuinely was an accident. And then I can't say that she purposely did anything. It's just the way, just like me, it's just the way she pushed off on me and how I fell into it. Because I can genuinely say I didn't purposely do it. And she could, if she were to be honest and say, hey, Heather, I genuinely didn't push you to mean for you to do that, I would believe her. You know what I mean? I just, at that time, because of what had happened, it felt purposeful. and it rang my bell. Like I was like the whole head was like whoa, 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 like before you're getting ready to be knocked out. So, and then my jaw felt broken and I was just livid. So yeah, a little bit of my not so good side came out.
I can imagine the 4-letter adjectives that probably come out of your mouth and probably were in your mind too.
Back then, I try to live a little bit different life now, but back then, yes.
Oh, I mean, we all did when we were.
So that's why it's always good to get both sides of the coin, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
No,
Heather.
nothing but the best for I see how well everybody is doing in life, and I see where they're living, and I just wish them the best, you know, like everybody's doing their thing and living their best life possible. And we've got some people that are personal motivators and helping people have healthy lives. And I came from firefighting and being on the tech rescue team and helping people that way. And I love to drive a fire truck, and that was my calling for a very long time. So I love to see people succeeding. That's what makes me most happy in life. You know, it took a long time to get there. It took a lot of growing up, but that's what I love to see more than anything is people people just doing what God put them here to do, you know, no matter what it is.
No, that's why we always check. That's why, you know, when we have these Zoom calls, I try to get as many as we can. You know, even if you guys had a rough patch or whatever back then, I mean, that's 20 years ago. Come on.
Yeah,
We're all
you know,
adults now.
better.
Lifetime ago.
You know,
Yeah.
we're all
Right.
adults now, and we gotta move on. You know, and that's why I constantly, you know, as you can see for yourself, your first time here, you're seeing that, you know, and I tell all the skaters, hey, listen, every time we do these Zoom calls, I mean, we get great feedback. Skaters love it. They get to talk to fans. They get to talk to probably somebody they haven't talked to in over 20 years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? I'm telling you, the Jamie Kotimak one, that was hard to keep secret because we didn't know whether she was going to come, whether she was not going to come. And when she popped out on that screen, it's like the little boy in me, and it was like, we got something here, you know. And every time we do these things, I get asked all the time, Bill, we get asked who's going to be on tonight? Who's going to be on tonight? You got to just wait and see who's going to pop up.
Yeah. No, it's fabulous.
Like for me, that's kind of the lure is being one of the hosts. Is I want to know who's going to be on, but it's hard for me to keep quiet on who's going to be on. It is hard. Like it's so hard for me not to blurt it out who's going to be on. And when John came to me and said that you were going to be on tonight, I was like, this is just perfect. This is going to be awesome to have Heather Gunnin on.
Yeah, for me, it's just like last night I had 3 teenage girls in the house, and at 1:30 I was like, go to bed. I was texting them at 3:30. I was like, now, you know, and then everybody had to get up and go to the CrossFit gym today. And then we went to the pool, and I was like, just remind me, just text me and remind me. And that's what they do. So
when Bill told me for this next one, when he told me, he was like, okay, this is when I want to do it. I'm like, okay, first person I'm going to talk to is Heather. Because we have not had her on yet. And I know I've had people that come in. Where's Heather? Okay, I'm trying to get her. Don't worry. I'm trying.
And I can tell you, John's messaged me like, both Bill and John have both messaged me like several thousand times. And it's like, everybody's been asking about this skater. They've been asking about that skater. And by the way, John, I'm considering this your birthday present from Bill and you. So thank you very much.
We'll talk about it.
Well, I actually forgot what I was gonna say. Shit.
Sorry.
I'm just entertained that we have Heather on. It's, you know, kind of like
a long time, but it was good.
it was definitely a pleasant surprise when I came on. I saw Heather here. I was like, oh, geez. Okay.
See you guys too. I appreciate it more than you know.
So, okay, so, I had it on the tip of my tongue this time, and I forgot what I was going to say twice. I'm kind of like tongue-tied right now.
Is when we get over.
All right, I'll cover it though for a minute because Heather, one thing I did want to ask about was like during the early episodes when you guys had to do the mega matches and stuff. When you were skating the first game, yeah, like how did your routines vary from when you were training, knowing you may have to skate 2 games in like one show, as compared to when the enforcers had that stretch when you guys were leaders of the pack?
For me, so I came from speed skating, so it wasn't a lot for me. There were times actually that a lot of people didn't know that we probably filmed 8 episodes in a weekend or 10 episodes in a weekend. So that you came out pretty beaten up and bruised over. But yeah, for a lot of the speed skaters, it wasn't a huge impact for us because we already had the endurance. So it's not to be cocky, our bodies were just built for it. Does that answer your question?
Here's a simple question. What was your favorite incarnation of the Sister of Suffering?
Turning into leather. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I loved working with Tink, Cat Lady or Wild Cat. She was crazy. I liked, I enjoyed being on the Enforcers. I don't know why. I look back and saw how many people were moved around on different teams, and I know I would have adapted, but I loved the Enforcers. I just felt like that was it. Like there was nothing, I couldn't see anything else for me but black and silver.
Did they ever let you keep the uniform?
I'm sorry?
Did they ever let you keep the uniform?
I do have the uniform. So I have the uniform with some like autographed pictures and the cover of the magazine that I was on. And then also the Sports Illustrated that I was in.
Yeah, they we've seen because several skaters said, "Oh wait, they get shocked when other skaters says they got their uniforms because they didn't allow them to keep them."
Really?
There's several of them that were like, "No, they didn't. They told us they needed it back."
What would they need them back for? They're beaten up and old.
It was public. It was basically the studio owned it.
Well, no, I don't have my uniform.
It's like I'm trying to remember. It's like it was, I think from the first. I wasn't on the first show back in January, but I remember from watching. I think Andrea Franklin still had one of her uniforms.
Yeah, she came out with it.
She had her Enforcers one.
Right.
Yeah, we all had to
Rusty Montgomery had his helmets. I think he might have had a uniform too, but I know he definitely still had his helmet.
I think
So there were a few people
Cindy
that still
also had.
So those
I think Cindy had hers too.
has her uniform as well. Which I joked about her getting back into her uniform, and she said no.
Yeah, like I didn't keep the elaborate uniform that they gave me that we filmed a couple episodes in. It had the shoulder pads and the.
Oh yeah.
Those went back to wardrobe because that's something that they were just working on. I think they played really well on the TV, but with all the lights and the stage, they were incredibly hot. But they look good on TV. So it's kind of like, what did you want to see? And I think that they wanted to see more of a speed uniform to make it look faster. But since they took it more to a storyline, maybe they should have kept the other uniforms. I'm not sure.
I do remember the uniforms now. It almost looks like armor.
Yeah, and it did. I thought they were pretty cool. So that's the one that made the cover of Speed Skating Times. And but they were fun. It was fun. It just added something a little bit different.
the Quakes one was horrible. The Quake one, like
I
the
don't
one
remember that one.
they had like that thong thing.
Oh, so did I. Oh, so did I.
And then they had theirs look like big, like you were saying, big shoulder pads. So you have someone so tiny like Jamie Conamack, and then these big shoulder pads on her.
Yeah, and I think maybe for like the New York Enforcers, you would expect that, but for
Yes.
them, they should have considered their team and the California-ness and maybe brought in something a little bit more tropical, or something different.
And
Yeah, because it was like the Quakes one looked like the LFL uniforms or something like that.
The Enforcers one legitimately looked like armor. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Enforcers original with the big shoulder pads. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go ahead and vote here that if this is revived in any way, shape, or form, Heather needs to be on the creative team.
Okay.
Because she is. I'm actually really surprised. She has some really good ideas to bring to the table.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of derby out there right now that you can find, and the way they're playing is really cool. Some of it I like, some of it I don't like, but they've got some really hardcore derby chicks now that, are learning to skate, know how to run the jams. It's really cool. It's a little bit different. It's more like a rugby meets roller derby. So it's definitely not the same, and it's not run the same. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit, you have to watch it a while to get how the point system works.
Oh yeah, no, I've actually went and watched the flat track games, and Jenny Matthews actually does play flat track.
She does.
And so that leads me to a question. If you wanted to, would you consider going out there and trying to make a flat track team just to show everybody that you stood out?
But not as a skater, no.
Not as a skater?
No, just because of the firefighter injury. I can't with my cervical spine being fused from my skull to my thorax, so it just wouldn't be feasible just to hurt myself. So, but being on the inside field and doing stuff like that, or being a mechanic or getting them product would be good enough.
Well, Danny Wolf has been, trying to revive the show.
Yes, I know.
But
I know something you guys don't know. Doo-dah.
He didn't blow all the money in Las Vegas.
I know something.
No, he has a show, but I can just call him and ask him.
I'll put it this way: as we're having this meeting tonight, I actually got a text from Broadway, and I will share that text privately with each and every one of you, so that way you guys know what he has said. But he said he's not going to say anything officially until there's some certainty.
Yeah.
So I think he's on the verge of maybe getting something back on the air. So Heather, I've already told Danny I'm going to be an on-screen manager for one of the teams.
Yeah.
You and we can go back and forth head to head. You can, I'll be like.
For I don't know.
Say what?
That I might skate for. I don't know.
That would be awesome.
I could definitely be I could definitely take the infield job though. That would be fun.
Well, I can't physically do it right now because one, I got the foot thing, and I've had a stroke in the last year, and I got some other health issues that I need to take care of before I even consider getting back on skates. But I told Broadway I'd definitely like to be an on-screen manager.
I could take in the infield job. I could take the abuse from the athletes.
Well,
Heather could be I don't know. I've been listening to her for the past hour. I think she's good for commentary.
Yeah.
She'd be commentator.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Heather on screen doing something.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens. You never know what the future holds.
Oh, we've constantly told Danny, you gotta have the legends. You gotta have. people from roller. I mean, mix it up a little.
Yeah.
Have to,
Yeah,
but-
because you bring a different
Right.
dynamic to the table.
Exactly. Obviously, it's like, you'd have to, find, you got to work within like sort of a new brief, no, I forgot what I was going to say. There's a trend going on tonight. You have to refresh the skater pool, because not everybody who skated 20 years ago can probably still go today. But again, it's like if you have a good mix of legends involved in some way or another, very similar to, when you go back and watch the old shows. It's like the first season they had Buddy Atkinson Jr. as a special analyst with Ken and Hawk. Obviously, then you Richard made the transition over seasons from being on the track to being a manager. Obviously, you had Mark D'Amato, who had a pretty extensive roller derby career as well. So you had a good mix of, and then, then the second season, they also brought in Ray Robles and Patsy Delgado. So you had a nice mix of veterans around to go along with all the young talent, that was involved with Rollerjam, and that would be obviously a good thing to do with a reboot, restart, or whatever incarnation a new league would take at this point.
You got to think though, at this point, Heather is going to be one of the legends.
Oh yeah.
Say something?
Oh, doubt.
Oh, everybody again. Come here, Emily.
I think a good idea would also be like, if you want to do storylines, that's fine, but let it push.
Hey, what's up, BB?
Man,
Don't let it
Right.
be the focal point. Let it
Right.
just be
It's like to a certain, you have to have storylines, but they can't overwhelm the action on the track.
Let the skating do the talking.
Have a nice balance like season 1 was.
Storylines, let it just be the bridge. Let it be the bridge, but don't let it be the focal point.
You want
You
this
can have monikers. You can have monikers. You can have, give somebody a gimmick. That's fine, but don't let it overshadow the natural.
Yeah, especially it's like if you've got people with personality, and there were certainly people in Rollerjam who had personality, sort of let them be, for personality wise, let them be themselves turned up to 11. But again, don't let, make that, weave that into the game itself rather than being like the overriding, then have it overwhelm the game.
Yeah. Just to let you guys know, I'm going to log out in about 5 minutes. Just my daughter's making some sleepy time tea, and those teenagers kept me up all night.
Oh, that's fine. I think we're gonna wrap it up too once you jump off. So I think it. So
Yeah, I'm heading out myself. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Rob.
All right, Robbie.
hey, Rob.
I
Be well.
think I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna speak on behalf of like fans. Myself as just a fan in general. Post skating. Your post Rollerjam jobs. Some of you guys have had some of the most interesting jobs out there. Rusty's a police officer. You were a firefighter, now retired. But two of the hardest jobs out there. Really you go to work and you don't know at the end of the day if you're going to be able to clock back out and go home.
That's the goal. That's always the goal.
Yeah. And I mean, so on behalf of that, we have to say thank you for your service to your town.
Thank you, Heather.
Welcome.
Thank
That
you.
it really means a lot to know that you did something like that post show.
Yeah, it's the best job I ever had besides being a mom.
We actually got to go on patrol with Rusty, so to speak, because he did it from his patrol car. He logged into a video chat.
Well, it'd be a little hard to drive the fire truck and Zoom at the same time. I might have to write a Dear Chief letter over that one.
It was after someone. What was it? If you remember, Bill, if somebody escaped from, or someone tried to steal something from the airport.
I forget what it was.
I forgot what it was. It was like there was something going on because it was the Heavy Hitters special with Rusty and Mark Webber and Janet Abraham. It wasn't one of the big fan ones, but it was like, and yeah, I forgot what, we'll have to go back and watch that one so we can remember what exactly Rusty was on duty for that during that show.
Just gonna say you've already named the love slave.
Yeah. And then, okay, so, we were talking about Jamie earlier, and Heather, do you know what she does now for her?
I know that Gina works at the hospital. She works at a really good hospital down the road.
Yep.
Debbie Rice works for Bont with Tink. I do not. What does she do?
She is a 10th grade. Hold on here. Let me break it. She's a 10th grade English teacher.
Wow, that's good for her.
Which we're trying to figure that one out. Like, I'm still kind of mind screwed over that because, there's not a lot of acting with her. Like,
you know what though? Sometimes God calls us to things that we would have never thought that he would have called us to. So
Like,
everybody's got something different that pulls their heart to where it needs to be. And I knew mine was firefighting. Yes, love. Okay, no more stevia. We have no more stevia. No, I don't want honey. He's making me tea.
is that the BB in the off to the camera?
Yeah, she was asking me if I wanted honey in my tea, and I don't. So I don't want any honey in my tea. She makes me tea at night.
Gotcha.
I still do tea.
It is amazing, I tell Bill all the time, it's like when we do these Zoom calls, it's like time stood still. No one has really aged. Everyone looks the same.
Thank you. You know what? Don't stop. Keep going.
Like Jamie came in her pigtails. She came with pigtails and all.
Yeah.
And everybody's always saying, every skater, I'm a little heavier. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen as you get older.
It's true. Even the veterans. The last call we had Ray on for most of the night, and then we had
Patsy.
and Patsy on at the end.
Patsy.
And other than Ray is maybe a little gray in spots now, and Patsy's got a different hairstyle. It's like again, and it's like and they go back to roller games and before that, so they're giving it. But even still, it's like as soon as they popped on screen, it's Ray Robles and Patsy Delgado.
Yeah.
If King Richard dyed his hair black.
The one that looks completely different now from when he was on Rollerjam was Logue. With that really I mean, his hair is longer than Heather's.
That's true. And he had a beard going too.
And he's got more facial hair than I do, and he has hair longer than yours, Heather.
That's why it's like again, and he had the pseudonym going on screen, so that's why nobody knew what it was until he started talking. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was about to say this. If they ever remade the 10 Commandments, Logan would be Jesus' hands down, or at least Moses, one or the other.
I'll say this. If they were to revitalize Roll It or whatever is going to happen in the future, he needs to play Old Man Logue. with the long hair, the beard.
Just play
Old
Maybe
Man
a
Logue.
cameo from Leonard too.
That might be something that would be good. So I would like to thank you guys for having me on tonight. And
Heather, it was a pleasure. I know we didn't have a lot of skaters on, but I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure having you on specifically. We're just going to call this the Richard and Heather show tonight for purposes.
All right. If you do one next month, remind me again, and I'll log in.
And Heather, I gotta say, for me, this is like awesome because, like I said, my birthday is Thursday, so talking to you is
happy birthday, Reese.
Ever. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Reese, fellow June birthday.
Wonderful birthday.
Yeah, I'm in July, John. Dylan.
Hey, so Heather, I'm waiting for that Facebook friend acceptance.
All right, send it to me. Just text me before you do, or instant message me so that I know that it's not you, because I have been hacked a couple times.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that right now while we're.
Okay. That way I
But
know
yeah, again, thank you, Heather. This was awesome.
you're so welcome. You guys stay safe, okay, and have a great weekend.
I told,
All
I
right.
told, I
Thank
told
you.
you.
You too, Heather.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
guys.
You now.
Good night, Heather.
Bye, guys.
All right. Good night.
Bye, loves.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Well, with that being said, I think we're going to conclude this episode of Beyond the Jam. I know it's kind of early from what our other episodes have been, with no skaters on, and it looks like everybody's kind of tied up tonight. I think with that being said, any last thoughts, John, coming from you as a fan?
That was awesome. That was it was unexpected, but it was awesome. There's another skater off my checklist.
Yes, most definitely. Jay-Z, what do you think?
It's like I thought it was great. It's like even though wasn't quite the same numbers we've had in the past, still it's like I always feel like it come away from these with something interesting. It's something that interesting about the show that obviously we wouldn't have known, at the time. And I thought Heather was fantastic, and it's like. And anytime Richard is on, it's just like you know he's going to say something that steals the show. You just don't know what it's going to be.
I think Richard takes that. I'm going to jump in and say this. Richard is amazing of just bringing something to the table that the show did not have the first couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope we can have an episode where we have 25 skaters on and 20 fans on, like we had with episode 2 or even episode 1, where we can have Richard on for several hours, where we as fans can sit back and let Richard kind of tell stories and ask questions, and we can add in our little tidbits.
Right.
Because he definitely has a voice for it. And, with that being said, let's pass it to Reese. Reese, birthday boy, what do you think, buddy?
All right. First of all, I was just like, man, seeing Heather on, it was a blast because I knew there was a lot of stuff that when she was on that she definitely had a lot of memorable moments. So it was nice to finally get some of the answers to them, even though we still want to know about the whole Megan Mobley thing, but maybe it's sometimes better left unanswered. And of course, the king always dropping the knowledge like only he can do it. Bringing back bringing back some stories that are like maybe clarify some things that we knew, but really didn't have as much of a knowledge as like he had. It's like just makes us appreciate this more. And as always, BC3, Johnny Ing, man, you guys are warriors, man, because
Indeed.
You go through to the ends of the earth putting all of this together, and yeah.
You know what I do? I just naturally talk. I just have fun talking. I have fun listening to the stories. And I think that's more why we started this in the first place as a fan. And I want this to be heard, for the people that go on YouTube and watch these videos, because I know my videos have been getting a lot of hits. I just enjoy doing this. If I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't be doing it.
I will say one thing real quick. I always watch when Richard talks. You can see how happy he is.
Mm-hmm.
He loves talking to us about the past. He loves talking to us about certain skaters.
Right.
I'm making it my mission to try to get Mindy Smith on. I want to get her on because he's constantly talking he talks about her so heavenly that I want to get her on. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been talking to skaters like, hey, you still talk to her? I've been trying every avenue to get through to her because I know Richard really, to have Heather on, that was unexpected because I know she's been a busy bee and we've tried in the past and she always got tied up, but to actually have her on, very informative.
Oh yeah.
Very eye-opening. I don't know, BC, if you got that same feeling. Like, it was eye-opening Like, okay, I see what, and it's like I told her, I mean, whatever happened before, that happened in the past. Like, that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
And
it's people gotta move on, if that's the case.
You know, as a fan, I see, like it made me appreciate Heather as a skater and as a person even more to hear her come out and say, hey, I was wrong when I was younger. And
Yeah.
that was kind of what we had touched base on that after the very first episode, John, and we
Oh, yeah.
talked about that in private.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That if that's the case, we're going to hear that from Heather without even really asking her to say anything, and that's exactly what happened tonight. That says a lot about her character as a person, and it says a lot about her as an individual. That she owned what she did when she was younger, and now she's very humble for it. And she's
Definitely, we will dedicate this episode to her because she deserves her. I mean, even though King was on here, the questions were to her. They were for her. Everyone's questions were, dedicated were for her to answer. So I think it'll be appropriate.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now that we kind of heard both sides of the story, I think we can probably get that rivalry episode going. We can probably work on that.
Probably mend some bridges with there.
Mhm.
If there's still like some ice between Janie, which, like I said, we don't know if there is one way or the other, but it was just like.
Well, it doesn't sound like on this side.
Mhm.
Animosity. I guess they forgave and forget, or at least forgave.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like to me on Heather's side, she's over what happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's 21, 22 years ago. Come on. Gotta grow up sometime.